I would like to apologize ahead of time for the fact that the camera will be shaken a little bit all over the place, and my finger will definitely be in the lens because we are in the car, and my hand's going to be tired from holding it up, and I'm pregnant, so I get all the excuses. I don't know what it has to do with pregnancy, but it does. Okay. Hello, hello.
Hey everybody, we are currently driving to a hotel for the night for a nice little getaway. We saw Thor Love and Thunder last night. We have some thoughts. This will be a full spoiler review, totally unfiltered, unedited.
Last minute I was like, hey, we were having a whole conversation. I'm like, I'm gonna just take the phone out.
Yeah.
So super major spoilers ahead. If you have not seen the movie, this is your warning. Warning 1, 2, 3. Okay, you've been warned.
Alright, so Thor Love and Thunder. I just said this to Lindsay, and I think it's very poignant for this movie. There's a Jon Favreau quote that he mentioned. He said during the directors' roundtable when they made Infinity War, saying that when he made the movie Elf, he was judged by every joke. Every joke was criticized and scrutinized over because it was billed as a comedy. And if jokes don't land, you don't have much of a movie there. And he said he found that very exhausting. He then said when he made Iron Man, really nobody questioned the jokes because it wasn't a comedy.
Not a comedy.
It was an action movie. Or it was billed as an action movie. So him and James Gunn have said that the Marvel movies kind of act as a Trojan horse for comedy. Mm-hmm. In that you can make a lot of really funny movies without having to be really scrutinized by every joke. I think that's kind of why a lot of people are rubbed the wrong way by Thor Love and Thunder.
And here's the thing. Ryan and I genuinely liked the movie.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine. I think walking out of the theater, I was happy. The more I thought about it, the more it broke down in my head.
Well, we were reading reviews online and we're like, they have a point.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's just like a lot of it was plot convenience. But back to my point. Thor Ragnarok was billed as a Thor movie. And we're like, okay, Thor, he's a pretty serious character, fine. Ragnarok, end of days, it's going to be some sort of serious action movie.
Yeah, major.
And then we got left hook sidewinded by one of the funnier MCU movies of all time. Like, a hilarious comedy that reinvented Thor as this balanced character, this nuanced comedy action hero.
And there was so much character development within that, which I feel like has been lost. I mean, look, Thor went through a lot in Infinity War and Endgame, and it feels like right now that humor is almost masking all of his pain in this movie. Like, he's in a lot of pain. Well, he's been through a heck of a lot.
It's half that. In Infinity War, the humor works well for Thor because you see him crack, you see the cracks a little bit. You see him break down and cry in the pile with Rocket. In Love and Thunder, his humor comes more off as goofy than it does coping mechanism. And it makes the character goofier. And because Love and Thunder comes out, we're like, alright, Ragnarok was hilarious and also serious. We're expecting a really funny movie. We're judging it as a comedy. And therefore, when the jokes don't land, you're like, okay. The half of the movie I always expected to work.
And it was marketed as a comedy.
Exactly.
So, why don't we go over what we did like quickly, because we liked a lot of it.
I did like. Christian Bale really brought a great performance.
I love the villain.
Butcher. I thought he was both scary, but also kind of, what's the word for maniac, but like, not maniacal, but...
Humanized? Is that what you're trying to...
No, like, he was crazy. Legitimately crazy.
Yeah, he had definitely lost his mind because what he relied on, what he put all of his faith and belief into was completely lost. He thought all these horrible things that had been done to his people would have a purpose. That they had been put through these horrible things only to come out better on the other side. And he realized that no God was actually watching him. His God was just laughing and...
The indictment of gods in the God Butcher storyline is a very poignant piece of literature and a very poignant idea. I do think this movie, I'll hold my thought and where I think they missed the mark with the God Butcher storyline because it's a spoil. It's like a negative. So back to the positives. Christian Bale, great as the God Butcher.
And I actually liked the scene in the opening. Like,
I like that.
We don't usually get a background for these bad guys besides, like,
we do every now and then.
Thanos. Well, not to this extent, though. Like, I mean, you start the movie with him.
Yeah.
And you understand his pain. Obviously, you see he's a maniac throughout the movie, but you understand what brought him to that moment.
The scene with him in the kids with the cage. Like, that's what I'm like, okay, this guy is having fun with this role, and it shows, and it comes off really well. I thought his design of him moving through shadows was very well done.
He doesn't even look like Christian Bale. Like, they did such a fabulous job.
Good job on that. I thought Natalie Portman brought a pretty good performance.
Yeah, for once, Jane was the highlight of the movie, which can't be said for any other movie she's been in.
The flashbacks...
in the MCU, that is.
The flashback sequence of their relationship blossoming and fading, I thought was very well handled.
We finally get a little bit of backstory.
I thought we needed that, and I think in various fan communities that recut the MCU in chronological order, I'd be curious how they handled that sequence, because I think it's a very important piece of Thor's story that we never got to see before.
Right, and I mean, all we heard was that they broke up and it was mutual. Now you see that she kind of left the note, but he hadn't been around, which is why she left the note.
They both had their own lives and couldn't dedicate enough time to the relationship.
Left each other.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I thought Russell Crowe as Zeus is the dark horse of this movie, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah, he was funny.
I loved him. Because everything of Zeus is like the high and mighty, better than very stoic, better than all the gods.
All muscular.
No, Zeus is a bumbling drunk dad in Greek mythology. He just goes around and courts any woman that he sees, any creature he sees. That's exactly what Zeus is.
His entrance was so funny.
He's just a foppish mascot, and that's exactly what Zeus is to me. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, and I loved, well, okay. There was a mixed feeling with this scene. When they tore Thor's clothes off, at first it's like, was this necessary? No. Was it hilarious? Yes. The point that I enjoyed was when we saw his tattoos.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yes, that's what I was looking at, his tattoos.
I mean, they gave you a close-up for a reason.
Yeah, and you see Loki's helmet with, like...
I thought the third act was handled very well. Once they reach the tiny planet, which I'm going to call it Tiny Planet for all the Rick and Morty fans, that's what I was thinking.
I was too.
I thought that was great. I thought that was really spectacular. That whole act sequence was very fun. The use of color, where various bits of light from the weapons will emit a small radius of color around the character. That's great.
And Gore's eyes.
That's great visual storytelling there. I thought, look, we got to see Eternity, which I never thought we'd get in a Marvel movie. Even if he was kind of just a wishing well type character. Yeah. I thought where they left Thor at the end got me really excited. I'm curious how Thor's going to work as a mentor figure / father figure. There's no comic precedent for that, and I like the MCU kind of dipping their toes into original storylines.
Yeah, and what you actually skipped over was, I liked that Gore in the end was, his storyline kind of went to a moment of love. Thor did not continue to try and defeat him. He told him, go ahead and bring your daughter back. And they're like, she's not going to be alone. And, I mean, that movie could have gone two ways. It could have been that, or he could have wished for Jane to, maybe get better. And
it's funny, his speech to Gore about choosing love, I didn't really like. What I did like was Thor's line saying, I'm not going to fight you anymore. I'm going to spend my last moments with the one that I love. That, to me, I'm like, that's powerful. That's saying, I don't care if you kill me, do whatever the hell you want. I'm going to spend time with the person that I love, because I'm going to actually live out the message I'm pushing on you right now. Like, that was powerful to me. That really hit home, and that's like,
yeah.
That's a good character moment. It's almost the end of an arc that didn't exist for me.
Well, I feel the arc was Thor and Jane, that they left it so open-ended, and I didn't ever really care much for Jane, and I didn't ever think we'd get a movie where Natalie Portman came back until they started advertising this, and this movie made me care about Jane. Her acting was really good. She was given stuff to work with. Natalie Portman is not a bad actress. She was given dull stuff before.
She's an Academy Award winning actress as well.
Yeah, I mean, look
Black
at her in
Swan.
Black Swan. Oh my gosh, her in Black Swan. But I mean,
her in V for Vendetta. Her in
I didn't see that one.
oh, I enjoy her.
Yeah, but I've heard she was good. But like in this, she wasn't given substance before. She was given substance in this one, and we see her backstory of her mother passing away, and I mean, truthfully, you don't expect it to go where it does. And when they actually had the guts to kill her off. So it was like, we're bringing her back, but to wrap up her storyline and that whole storyline of her and Thor. And the second they're in each other's presence, you see that love had never gone away. They just couldn't.
Yeah, she's dead, but she's not gone forever. There's a reason that post-credit scene showed her in Valhalla.
If we ever see Valhalla, but.
We did.
No, I'm saying again.
Oh, 100%. That is a character holding ground where if they want to do more with the mighty Thor, they will.
Do you think our original Loki is in Valhalla?
They die in battle, so.
Well, do you count it as battle with Thanos? He
Possibly.
was fighting him.
Well, we didn't see any golden embers, so that's like the Valhalla calling time, I guess.
But we didn't see it when what's his name?
Heimdall.
When Heimdall died.
Yeah. Who knows?
I think for her,
Who knows?
she was like in a very magical place, which is why we physically saw that.
Well, we saw with Odin too when he died, and we saw. Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of things we like.
But Odin didn't die in battle.
Fair, but he's also Odin, so he's probably like.
He just automatically.
Yeah. Another thing we liked, the place. Like now, here, let's go through some of the humor, because the humor is really where a lot of people are split on.
We'll
Whether
go
it
through
works or
some of
doesn't.
it. You know, there is one joke that to me fell so flat on its face, it took me out of the movie.
So we'll do the good humor first, and then we'll lose the humor as a transition to go to stuff we don't like that much.
Okay.
All right, good humor. Stuff with the Guardians I thought was very funny.
I wanted more Guardians, but yeah, no, I mean, Guardians are always funny, and I really like the stuff between him and Quill.
Yeah, that conversation of Thor trying to put on the mask of this is gonna hurt me because we're going to sour separate ways.
I
but,
want
we
to
have do
feel
it.
shitty.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good funny writing. I thought the play sequence, the return of the thespians on New Asgard.
Some people didn't like that, but I loved that.
I loved that. I love that they took it a little bit further than they used to, because now they have to put on for tourists. I thought the idea of making New Asgard a tourist site,
Yeah.
genius.
Also,
Genius.
what was really funny to me is our theater was silent, mostly except for that scene, and it was when when the sister walks out.
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa
as
McCarthy.
Hela.
Oh my
Great
gosh!
casting. Freaking great casting.
And change outfits, go! Ah!
There's some great stuff there.
And when they then show up and they're like, should we write a play about it? And some people thought that was a really, really stupid line. I personally thought it was funny. Like, all right, should we get writing on the play? She didn't say
She
no.
said no.
Okay. And then it just went right into Asgardian at night.
Yeah.
Right.
There's good stuff humor-wise in the movie. I think Zeus had some good humorous lines.
Zeus did have good humor.
Zeus doing his like baton routine with his lightning bolt.
Oh my gosh.
Good stuff.
Some people hated this, but I thought it was funny. The whole like love triangle between his weapons. I do think it was a little ridiculous.
A little bit too far.
Yeah, where like the weapon was actually responding.
I think that's when it went too far, when it becomes more of a sentient being. If you have it where Thor is just kind of choosing which one, and maybe you have the one joke where he tries to call Mjolnir and Stormbreaker kind of slowly eases in the frame, and that's the end of the joke. Good. That's where the joke ends. That's the culmination of the joke.
I appreciate when he goes, like, take me home, and then you literally just see him go through the ceiling and collapse right behind them. Like, that to me was funny. And I think that was supposed to be because like he wasn't connecting with the energy of it as much.
Possibly.
And I don't think we ever got a full reason, so that's what I'm assuming. No. Not just that it was because they were on Earth.
Some of Korg's jokes worked really well for me. Him not knowing Jane Foster's name for the first couple of times he says it.
Jane Fonda. He did it one time.
No, he did it twice. It was Jane Fonda and Jodie Foster.
Is it Jodie Foster?
Yeah, Jodie Foster of Silence of the Lambs. He did.
Oh, right.
He did both of those.
You're right.
I thought
he did.
That's a good joke. That's a great joke. Him with his husband / rock partner.
Significant other.
Funny joke.
So I didn't realize his entire species is Is it? Like, did we know that?
So. I don't know Cronin history.
And you know, that's like, it's just a really interesting way to do things, because we've also seen planets where everybody is a woman. And that to me is very fascinating, because it didn't feel like out of place. It just felt like natural for them.
Yeah.
So I actually really, really enjoyed that. But I just love when he comes into frame and he has a mustache. Yes. And his name is Dwayne. Dwayne The Rock.
That was clever. I'm just let down though, because I don't know how, but in Thor Ragnarok, almost every one of Korg's lines was freaking hilarious. Maybe because he was introduced around, the middle of Act 2.
And they used him a lot less.
The start of Act 2.
They didn't use him as much.
And here, not a lot of Korg's jokes landed for me.
Yeah. I did enjoy Meek. Just for the 1 second that we got Meek.
Yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, Korg was more of a full-rounded character in this one, whereas before he was comedy relief.
And now, because I think, and that's one of the key differences between Ragnarok and Love and Thunder that I think people are really hitting upon, that is the big difference. In this film, everyone's comic relief, and it makes it difficult to track any character or
growth,
connect any character.
And
Thor's comic relief, Valkyrie's comic relief, even Jane, who is dying from cancer, is comic relief, kind of come up with catchphrases and trying to enjoy our last moments, but it dilutes the seriousness of her arc. And
so, quickly, like, to ease our way in, do you remember the one joke that pulled me out of the movie for a moment?
It was the god of Bao?
Of dumplings. Named Bao. And okay, first of all, I love Bao, the food. I love it. So, like...
personally insulted by this joke.
Yeah, and, like, second of all, since frickin' when do those kinds of creatures exist? Like, why? Just why? It just didn't make sense.
Well, more so, who would pray to that creature?
Well, and I'm wondering, or people who like dumplings, but I'm wondering, was that taken from a comic? If that was in a comic somewhere, and there's a reason they put it in, kind of like how Howard the Duck? Yeah, Howard the Duck, then it would have been like, okay, that's just a really, really...
deep cut.
Yeah.
It's a deep cut. If you know it, great. If not, you'll learn. There'll be dozens of Screen Rant articles about the one character in Thor: Love and Thunder you missed.
Exactly.
That's my BuzzFeed, listicle noise. Yeah, that joke. I think jokes are taking people out of the movie because you're trying to balance goofball comedy. Like, yes, Ragnarok had goofball jokes. It also had some really just well thought out jokes.
And I mean, you had serious scenes. You had that in this too. Yeah.
Love and Thunder, those goofball jokes take you away from very serious storylines, and that's what's pulling people out. And I get that. I totally get that. So
yeah.
I was saying, now we're into negatives.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, the second half of the movie was pretty much perfect.
Disagree.
No, I mean, some people are saying, like,
better.
It's beautiful, the second half of it. But that's what it should have been the whole film.
Okay, so there's a common, like, complaint around, like, Phase 2, that came around Phase 2 of the MCU, like, whenever Marvel deviates from the comic storyline, like, they didn't follow the comics. And I'm like, okay, that's not a reason to complain.
Mm-hmm.
A reason to complain is if the comics had a better story than the film. And I think the comic Gore had a better ending than the film.
I wouldn't know because I never read it.
The comic Gore, from what I remember of the Gore the God Butcher storyline, is that eventually he becomes a god. And it's beautiful, dramatic irony. Not only dramatic irony, it's beautiful comeuppance. Dramatic comeuppance where...
kind of like Odin.
He spends his entire life butchering gods because he believes they're faulty. And I believe characters start praying to him because of his crusade, and he becomes a god. And it's like
Odin was bad until he realized what he was doing wrong, and then he became good.
I'm saying comparing his like, Shakespearean turn in tragedy in the comics to this of him just choosing love and dying. Like, yeah, choosing love and dying is an easier story to do and probably a simpler solution, but it doesn't really do more than scratch the surface of what Gore as a character is all about.
They could have kept him.
And that's a deep-rooted cynicism in theism, any godlike structure. And like,
They could have kept him around for longer because he had more story to tell. I
the
feel
scene that was missing for me in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and they almost did it. So we're told that Gore that all gods should die and that gods are bad.
Mm-hmm.
We're shown by Zeus that a lot of gods are pretty self-serving and they have sacrificial contests to see who sacrifices more. So that's like the whole, like, okay, Gore is on a better mission because now we're seeing his side. We understand, as the characters understand that plot.
Mm-hmm.
What was missing for me is the moment of what separates Thor from the rest of the gods, and Thor being challenged by Gore's mentality. When Thor goes to Zeus and says, "Hey, we need help," and Zeus is like, "I don't care, we're safe here."
Mm-hmm.
Then Thor's not challenged by that. It's more like, "Oh, that sucks. We have stuff to do ourselves." What needed to happen was, in my mind, Gore should have really called out Thor, saying, "You are the god of Asgard, and you've destroyed your own planet and let half your people die. What kind of god are you? You're no better than..."
Yeah.
If Thor is told, after everything he's been through, that he's no better, regardless of how hard he tries to be, than all the gods at Omnipocity, that challenges the character Thor, and that gives him a reason to be better, and then take on that fatherly role to teach Gore's child how to be a good god.
What do you think
Or a benevolent god.
What do you think of Korg becoming just a face for half the movie?
Honestly, I would have been okay if they killed him and then had him come back at the very end. I would have been okay because he serves no plot purpose.
Right.
I would have been okay if
Yeah.
at the very end, before he starts his closing monologue, because he's like the framing device of the story, you have them like sweeping up Omnipotent City and like coming across the face.
After credit scene.
Yeah. Or like even come across the face and be like, "Oh, I'm still like, yeah, I'm still alive," and that's how he's able to retell the story. Because otherwise, how can he tell the story of Thor, Love and Thunder if he's dead? I would have been okay because it would have given Thor some dead person motivation, which is okay by me.
It was a punch in the gut for the 1 second you thought he was dead.
And I wish they kept him dead until the very end because he serves no purpose. He serves no purpose plot-wise.
I would have been so bummed out.
But you need that.
Yeah.
You need that act to switch from comedy to seriousness. Like, honestly, if the jokes kind of stopped after Corey died,
Like a
that
switch
would've-
was flipped.
Exactly. You need, like, the switch from comedy to drama. You do that without some sort of arc point, it falls flat. You do it with an arc point, it really hits home.
Yeah. And
Notice how, like, when, in Endgame, for example, when they play out Vormir exactly as it should be. Honestly, you know, same with Infinity War. Both Vormir scenes, you notice, are not cut up because the filmmakers know that is a dramatic arc point for our characters. And after that, we're in the third act, and there's not a ton of jokes. There are some jokes, but there's not a lot of them. Not as many as Act 1 and 2.
yeah.
Because you flip the switch. You've given the characters their lowest moment. So to have them be funny right after that doesn't work.
Yeah, and
Excuse me.
bless you. I also feel like there were moments where there was no comedy, which I appreciated. Like Jane figuring out her catchphrase and whispering it, we never hear it.
Very, very lost in translation. Like, good stuff there. Like, we didn't need that moment, but it's good to have. They have their own little, like, last private moment.
Yeah.
That is honestly, yeah, kind of a serious moment, or not only a serious moment, but a touching moment. I'll say touching, not funny, but
Yeah.
not serious per se.
And I feel like you really get in the movie just how much Thor really does love Jane. Like, he says he never stopped loving her, and I feel like that was something that was missing from other movies where, like, it just ended so quickly.
Here's the thing, though, with the Thor and Jane arc. This is something I kind of only thought about, like, this morning. If you were to whittle down Thor's character arc in each movie, Thor 1 is a reckless brat warrior learns to be responsible as a warrior. Thor 2 is Thor learns Not much. Thor learns that he might not want the throne of Asgard.
Right.
Thor 3 is Thor learns how to be a warrior king and a king in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
Not like Odin, but his own king, his own style, leading his people. What would be the one sentence arc for Thor: Love and Thunder?
Thor learns.
What does Thor learn?
Thor learns that love isn't always permanent, but even when it's shitty, you gain something from it.
Wouldn't he have already known that arc? Yeah, post Jane breakup?
I mean, to a degree,
Like-
but I think more so opening himself up again. I do think that there was a piece of him that acknowledged he was going to get hurt, just like with everyone else he loved. But is love worth it if you get hurt? Like, it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. That is what you learn.
That's good. I'm
I'm not saying it's the biggest lesson.
No, it's. I don't think that arc was fully explored though, because yes, Thor has lost a lot in his life,
Yeah.
and it's more like him. For example, Star-Lord is a great example of the choice to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Star-Lord loses his mother, has to deal with that, has to kill his own father,
Loses his father figure.
loses father figure, and in Infinity War, he has to make the choice to lose someone he loves.
And then loses her anyway, yeah.
Correct, and that's a really powerful arc. They tried to do that with Thor, where he chooses to love in spite of the fact he knows he's going to lose them.
Well, let's look at Thor for a second. His mother dies, his father dies, his brother dies 3 different times. His best friend dies. Half the Asgardians die. His hammer,
Which he gets at the end of the movie.
exactly, but he lost that hammer for a while. His girlfriend left him. They get back together. He admits that she's always been the love of his life, and then she dies.
Yeah.
And so the question is, also I wonder if she was snapped, but the question is then, what happiness is Thor really given? I mean, he's given friends. He always finds friends along the way. Look, he gets a daughter figure in this movie. But, yeah, what joy is he allowed to keep? And what do you think of him getting his hammer back after mourning it?
Yeah, I think my main concern with Thor: Love and Thunder, where it misses the mark for me, is that we're having these conversations. I don't think the filmmakers did.
What do you think of the fact that he couldn't get the pieces back together before from the hammer, but it came back for Jane, then he got to keep those pieces? Do you think they should have fallen apart and stayed apart after she died, or do you...
Yeah, I think they should have, because if the hammer's mission was to protect Jane, Jane, first of all, Hammer did a really bad job of that, because the hammer was causing her to die faster, so, you know.
It was draining her energy,
Nice
because she's
job,
human.
Hammer, you really did a job there, but...
It gave her something to live for.
Yeah, they gave her a purpose in life, a last purpose. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, once Jane dies, and the hammer's quote-unquote mission is over, it would have been poignant if he either kept the hammer, broken apart, or didn't use it anymore as a memorial for her. In memorial.
Yeah. And I didn't mind at the end that he took the hammer for himself and gave his other weapon to the daughter. For me, it's very clear Thor has his original things he always loved, his original girlfriend, his his hammer. He always wanted Mjolnir back, and he made the other weapons that he had something to fight with. And while he got attached to that one and how cool it was not his hammer. And so in the end, it's very interesting. He gives the daughter almost the more impressive weapon for her to use, and he's perfectly happy just using his old,
Even though he doesn't really need either
hammer.
Mjolnir or Stormbreaker, because he can shoot
Correct.
lightning by himself.
Right. For him, it's just an extra weapon to have.
I don't know, I feel like Ragnarok did so much for the character of Thor in giving him a purposeful arc that was missing from Thor 2 and honestly some of the Avengers movies. I feel like this one just kind of treaded water.
Yeah, and I will say they did show the moments where he didn't have a weapon, that he was able to harness his lightning himself,
Yeah.
and then able to use another weapon to do the same thing.
I just feel like this story, Thor: Love and Thunder, if the idea was Thor is the backseat in his own movie where the other characters take precedent in their arc, then give them the majority of the time. Have Thor interact with them, but give Jane time to process the toll that the hammer takes on her. Give Gore the time to really go from I'm gonna kill one god to I need to kill every god. That's it. That's in one scene. I feel like they use the magic necro sword to kind of hand wave that decision.
Right.
Truly,
It's kind of like Wanda.
In Gore's eyes, if he kills the one god that he prayed to, that he was betrayed by, that should be the end of his arc.
But it's kind of like Wanda when she picked up the bad book.
The
like
Darkhold.
it brought out the darkness within her. Like,
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a trite and lazy plot point.
well, and you see what happens when the sword is destroyed and he slowly becomes himself again.
Yeah, it just seems like feels like lazy. It feels like, all right, we kill the sword, we beat the weapon, we beat the villain. No, you still need to beat the mentality behind that villain. And
they did.
He was going to kill the god before the sword called to him.
Well,
He wanted revenge before the sword called to him. The sword just gave him an outlet.
and the other thing, like for me, why was it that the Stormbreaker was the key? They never give you that.
It felt, you know what it felt like for me?
Hmm.
It felt like Rise of Skywalker, where the timelines don't add up at all. Where you have a dagger that leads you to a mythical Sith planet that's based off of the wreckage of the Death Star. When was this dagger made? When was the Gate to Eternity made if Stormbreaker, a weapon that really only existed for, 6 years maximum? When did that become the key to everything if it didn't exist?
Unless we're
6 years
going
ago.
off of like the idea that time is just, it doesn't exist to a being like eternity. So for eternity,
Like, you had to wait for Stormbreaker to be made for anybody to reach eternity?
yeah, like there is no sense of time for eternity. Everything just is, and it's as if Stormbreaker always exists for
Again,
eternity.
it felt lazy. You know what would have been a better arc? Or a better thing? Wasn't Stormbreaker. It's Zeus's lightning. Zeus, a god that existed for millennia, held the
could have
key to
been.
eternity, which would have been a better reason for Zeus to say, no, I
and
don't
for
want
Zeus
to
to
fight.
be in the film at all.
I don't want to fight because I know that if he gets this weapon, he can reach eternity.
Correct.
That would give him even more of a selfish motivation.
Or even the hammer, honestly.
I think again,
Hammer was around for 1,000 some years.
like
1,000
yes,
years.
if you did that, you could cut out Zeus entirely. And that's
Right.
fine.
Well, and that's the thing is we can cut out Zeus entirely right now. He didn't need the lightning.
No, he didn't. That's absolutely correct.
It's setting up another arc for sometime in the future.
But I think if you made the lightning the key, Zeus is roped into the plot. He has a really selfish reason to say no. And it's literally like, I'm not going to protect my constituents or my other gods.
Yeah.
Because I know that if he comes to Zeus lightning, he gets eternity. And I just don't want that to happen. I don't want to deal with losing on the city.
Well, and again, I think it would have also still felt convenient because he goes to Zeus and didn't know that. But I feel like any plot would have felt convenient at this
But
point.
it
I'm
would've-
wondering.
It would have been more of a punch in the gut, though, if Zeus didn't tell him that his lightning led to eternity, and they found out that.
And took it to eternity by accident.
Yeah, like that's like, oh no, that would have been a gut punch.
And that was his plan the entire time.
bingo. Like that would
So-
have been a much better.
Do you know in the
use of
comic,
Zeus.
when people went to eternity, was there a key?
No, Eternity was a living being. So the reason I love Eternity so much is, again, one of the reasons that I really appreciate Marcus and McFeely, the two writers of Infinity War and Endgame, and also Civil War, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and First Avenger, was because they know what elements to pull from storylines to make a movie work. In the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, Thanos meets the heroes, then has to deal with the gods coming to fight him, being like, okay, he's too powerful,
Yeah.
we gotta fight this guy. People like Galactus, people
Yeah.
like the Living Tribunal. And then the last sort of boss battle is with Eternity, which Thanos wins and becomes Eternity. Obviously, you can't put that in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, the Infinity Gauntlet movie, because that's just too. We haven't introduced any of that. It's too out there and too crazy, and too many new elements.
Right.
So to use Eternity here as just a wishing well, I think was a really missed opportunity.
Do you think we'll get more of eternity as they continue to dive into
don't
these
think
god
we will.
storylines?
I
Because
don't think we will.
the same way we had the Eternals, I'm wondering if like a lot of these characters might be coming back.
I think Celestials are here to stay. I think Adam Warlock with Guardians 3. I think we won't use Eternity much. I don't think there's a purpose for him anymore.
But the face of the stone that fell when they went into eternity was the same face of the gods that we saw, like the Celestials that we saw.
Oh, yeah, they're in that temple area with all those faces. Yeah, those like your capital G gods in the MCU.
All right, well, let's see who's right. Tell us in the comments, do you think we'll see Eternity again? And Ryan, you and I will see eventually in the movies. I think we're going to see him again.
I don't think it'll be for years.
One day I'm going to be like, ha ha ha.
So here's my crackpot MCU theory. This is a theory that I am hell-bent on after thinking through all these storylines.
Yeah, how do they come together, Ryan? What's the point of... Because MCU,
Here's the point.
This period of MCU has not had as much of a point.
Here's my guess. So far, the elements that are in the air: Doctor Strange and incursions, time travel and TVA, and Kang, Eternals, and then your ground fights, like your Thunderbolts, your Val, the woman in purple, recruiting like John, Nomad, U.S. agent John Walker, Yelena, those people. That's your one half of the MCU is gonna be the ground stuff. Your street level of crime storyline, Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts, probably Thunderbolts. Your cosmic stuff.
So that'll be our new Avengers, kind of.
Your cosmic stuff. Probably two-pronged. I think they're doing Secret Wars, where it's Battle Planet.
That's our new Infinity War.
But I think here's how they're gonna do it. One of the big questions and the stinger at the end of Eternals was Arishem the Judge judging Earth and saying, all right, is this planet worthy? I think he's gonna come back and say, no, Earth is not worthy. So I'm taking everybody who's caused harm, like hero-wise,
or villain-wise,
all the metahumans, all of the enhanced humans, anybody that's been messing stuff up, I'm gonna pull you all off of Earth. You guys can fight for your own survival. I'm only letting one of you guys survive. I'm only letting one of you guys live, including the Eternals, because you guys betrayed me. So
MCU Hunger Games.
That's what Secret Wars is. Secret Wars is basically an MCU Hunger Games where everybody's thrown, or at least the 2015 Secret Wars. Everybody's thrown to a battle planet, and it's a fight to the death. I think Arishem the Judge will be the creator of that scenario, pulling Doctor Strange, who's causing all these crazy time travel incursions.
Wanda.
We
can guarantee she's still alive.
All the Celestial, all the Eternals, all of the heroes, all the villains, they're getting pulled into this battle planet.
And do you think that
including...
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
And because of the incursions and all the time travel, it won't just be the heroes that we know on our Earth.
It's going to be different.
It'll be the multiverse heroes as well. It'll be probably where they get maybe Tobey Maguire back again. Where you get maybe your Wolverine cameo.
Don't put our Spider-Men against each other.
Where your Andrew Garfield comes back. Yeah. I think they're going to do a multiversal Secret Wars. And that's going to be their big multiverse conclusion. It'll be Secret Wars combined with the multiverse that'll lead to... It's basically an incursion meets Secret Wars. And it's going to be kind of probably the mid-chapter of Kang, maybe the end chapter of Kang, of like Kang taking over and like trying to be King and Conqueror and taking over all the timelines, and they eventually team up, because that would be the most ideal time for them to do it. If Kang can destroy and win the battle planet, he rules every timeline. So I think that's my crackpot big MCU culmination for this phase of where it's leading to. I think they're doing a multiversal Secret Wars incursion storyline. I
agree. I want to know what you think of all the younger characters being introduced. Do you think we're getting a Young Avengers?
Yes, I think they're going to do either Young Avengers or the Children's Crusade storyline.
I never heard of that.
It's Wanda going after the kids and trying to get her kids back from the multiverse.
Well, I think we already got that storyline.
Kind of, but it's more so her going through the multiverse and not like dreamwalking, but actually fighting various heroes.
I think we're just gonna. I think as everything merges, I think we're going to get all the heroes like together.
Yeah, maybe you could do Young Avengers versus like the Enforcers and some of the lower level like street crime.
Or maybe from a timeline where Wanda dies, these guys are ripped out of it and put in this one. She still gets her children, and maybe she eventually finds Vision as well somehow, you know?
Or you could do Secret Wars 2. Sorry, you could do Civil War 2.
We still have White Vision, by the way.
Civil War 2, no, White Vision as well. Civil War 2 is a recent storyline. It was a Captain Marvel versus Iron Man storyline, actually.
Well,
It was centered around a character that could see the future and figure out who's going to commit crimes. And the fight was kind of like Minority Report. Do you arrest a villain before they've committed the crime?
Minority Report.
It's a Tom Cruise movie.
Is that the one where they can see what people have done before they've done it and then arrest them?
Yep.
I saw like 5 minutes of that in a writing camp when I was younger,
So,
and I was just thinking about that movie 2 days
It's
ago.
kind of like Winter Soldier, where Hydra had a formula where they can predict who's going to be a threat, but it's our heroes fighting over, can we prosecute villains before they become villains?
Well, they can do that with that group that tries to cover up, you know, the one we've been seeing in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, Miss Marvel.
Yeah, the DDoC.
But my other thing is,
I think that's going to be where the Young Avengers play in. I think it's going to be Young Avengers. I think it's going to be kind of a Civil War 2 where it's the young heroes versus the newer heroes. I think it's going to be Captain Marvel versus Miss Marvel in that sort of ideological break. Captain Marvel says, yes, we absolutely should arrest people that do crime before they did it. And the kid saying, no, everybody deserves a chance to be better.
because Civil War 2, you really can't do without
Iron Man.
and Captain America.
No, actually, Civil War 2 did not have Captain America in it. It was Captain Marvel versus Iron Man.
Oh, Captain Marvel, okay.
Yeah, which is why I think she can be a really good antagonist.
I think you might have said Captain America,
Sorry,
or I imagined it.
I
I could be wrong.
Civil War 2 is Captain Marvel versus Iron Man. And I think after the Marvels, an ideological split between Miss Marvel meeting her hero and realizing that she might not be lined up with her ideologically is a powerful, compelling storyline.
The Marvels, you said?
Yeah, that's the name of the Captain Marvel 2 movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. I think if you have Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, the two kids from WandaVision, Cassie Lang, Iron Lad, as Kane the Conqueror, who's trying to stop his own thought, trying to stop himself from becoming a bad guy. The idea
Young Loki.
The idea of young Loki. The idea of you can change, and we should let people have the chance to change. Maybe even Spider-Man's in there too, against the traditional heroes of stop the bad guys. If they're bad guys, if we know they're bad guys, we should stop them now. That's a powerful.
It's a good theory.
And maybe that's where you introduce the X. Maybe that's where the X-Men play. Maybe it's a mutant power that can see the future. That kind of causes everything.
Well, as our worlds begin to collide, I think we have to see that happen at some point.
I'd be very hard pressed if the introduction for mutants isn't through multiverse shenanigans.
We have to see these worlds collide, though, at some point. I feel like the multiverse thing has been taken so much in so many different directions, and for so many different reasons, and I want to see how they connect. If they don't connect, I'll be disappointed.
I think Collision Course and Secret Wars is the best way to bring in your mutants, bring in your Deadpool, because people, the theory that X-Men mutants were there the entire timeline, doesn't really work.
I don't think it does.
Nor can you introduce them now.
But they show that they exist in other timelines. So.
Well, also, yeah, because if you introduce mutants in the Marvel timeline now, like they just start, you lose out on their key thematic element of segregation and persecution by identity. The X-Men have always been a civil rights comic in a civil rights era style storylines.
Right. And so the question is, are they completely redoing X-Men? Or are they just going to bring in the ones we already know?
That's a good question. I imagine they'll probably do half and half.
Keep the ones they want.
If you can get Michael Fassbender back as Magneto and, my goodness, James McAvoy back as Professor X, the young version, get them back because they're great.
We already got the older version back.
Yeah.
He was wonderful. So, alright. Now I'm going to take this...
Wrapping up Thor Love and Thunder before we go back to our bigger discussion. I give it like a 6 out of 10. I thought it was fine.
Oh, I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Alright, Ryan, I have one more question for you.
Alright, last Marvel crackpot question. Fire away.
I would like you to take this, like all the things in this MCU, stage 4, is that what we're calling it?
Phase 4.
Phase 4, thank you. And rank them.
Oh, sure. Are we including TV or no?
Yes.
Oh god, there's a lot of TV. Alright, so favorite thing of Phase 4 probably so far.
Well, should we start at the bottom or start at the top?
Oh yeah, I guess it's at the bottom.
Start at the bottom.
Alright, least favorite thing.
Let me guess, Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel has not ended yet, so I cannot judge that.
As of now.
As of now, I can't judge it because it hasn't ended yet, and if it sticks the landing, it'll obviously go up, and if it fails the landing, it'll go down.
So where is it as of now?
It's near the bottom for sure because
Okay.
I don't see where it's going.
So we'll put that one to the side.
Yeah.
Shoo.
Least favorite, probably What If.
Oh, okay, are we including What If in this one?
It's Phase 4 TV, isn't it?
Alright, we'll put it in there.
It's part of the
I
MCU.
don't even include it because I just didn't enjoy
it's
it.
part of the MCU.
Alright, What If is at the bottom?
What If, probably my least favorite. Followed by probably Eternals. I didn't like the movie. I didn't
You
think
did like the movie.
No, I've come to like it less and less because I've come to just
It doesn't feel like Marvel.
no. The risks it takes are fine, but it doesn't go all the way in becoming an art movie. Nor does it really give you satisfying action to cover up the fact that the plot's not that great.
Fair enough. I agree that so far I agree with your list. Minus Miss
probably-
Marvel, I don't know where I would put it. And so far I've liked certain things. I just don't like the main character, but I appreciate a lot of things
Then
about it.
probably Black Widow.
Forgot that was this phase. That should have been in the last phase.
Should have been years ago, but it just
Yeah. It would have been higher up if it was years ago. I think.
Yelena is the saving grace of that movie. The fact that Yelena brought the views back up for Hawkeye is telling that how popular the character she is.
Okay.
Next would probably be Falcon Winter Soldier.
Which is interesting because you adored that in the beginning.
I think poor villains tanked that show in the end.
Agreed. They were very uninteresting villains to me. Their reasoning was somewhat understandable. I just think that they went the wrong way with their explanation of it.
Then probably Thor: Love and Thunder after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then probably
It'd be-
Multiverse of Madness.
I'd probably flip the two, but that's fair.
Then we end the fun stuff. Then WandaVision goes above Multiverse
I thought
Madness
that
for
would
me.
be at the top of your list.
No, not top of my list. WandaVision, then Hawkeye,
Okay.
then
Some people
Probably-
did not like it. They say it's like a Disney movie, which it technically is, but
then Loki, which is probably top of your list.
yes.
Then Shang-Chi,
I mean, it's fair.
then
Shang-Chi was amazing.
Moon Knight for me,
I thoroughly enjoyed Moon Knight.
and then No Way Home is top.
Yeah, I think I'm Loki, then No Way Home, and then
No, is that all
yeah.
Phase 4 so far? I think not everything.
Let me think.
WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, Moon Knight. Those are the shows that have been finished so far.
Yep, movies.
Movies was
Black Widow.
Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's my list. That's my ranking.
And if you were to put Miss Marvel in there, where would it be?
Right now, probably right below Black Widow.
I think Miss Marvel would be above What If. Or no, actually above Eternals. Above Eternals, probably.
I think Iman Vellani is charismatic as all hell. I wish she was given a better story.
Yeah, I don't enjoy her script. I feel like her character is too much like, she's just making bad choices. And yes, a lot of people are like, well, Peter Parker's a teenager making teenager choices. Fair enough, but Peter Parker...
Also makes good choices to counterbalance those.
Right, and he acknowledges his mistakes, and I think part of the movies acknowledge those with him. But that's getting into a whole Miss Marvel thing,
Which,
and we can do a whole nother review on
which
that.
I'll probably have thoughts after the finale comes out, and we see where it's going, where it's leading to. But
Yeah.
that's my ranking for the MCU Phase 4 so far. I don't think we even have an end for Phase 4 yet. We haven't had an announcement of, here's where Phase 4 ends. And so I'll be curious.
Yeah, it seems longer than some of the other phases. I know it's not.
It's not longer because there's just more to it. There's just more content.
I'm really curious to see where it goes. So far, I think it's one of the lowest phases for me. You got some really good stuff in there.
I'd have you rewatch Phase 1 and 2 again before you make that statement.
Yeah, but you get Iron Man and you get, Captain America. And
Some people don't like First Avenger.
Interesting.
Truly, in Phase 1, the only big hit winners were Iron Man and the Avengers. That's it.
Alright, in the comments, let us know.
What's your favorite phase besides Phase 3?
Well, and yeah, give us a ranking. What do you think for Phase 4 is so far the ranking? We won't ask you to rank all of MCU ever unless you want to.
Good luck.
And Ryan, I will eventually ask you that. Alright, we're about to go through a toll, so we are gonna go.
See you guys later.
And as always, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and
Thanks
thanks
for
for
watching,
watching.